Hello everyone! I've got this time the big fat Joycons. These Joycons were sent to me by Nyxi Gaming. You can also get them from Binbok. They are different brands, but the controller comes from the same distribution center. So it doesn't matter which brand you'll choose, you'll receive the same thing. So let's check what comes out in the box. Here you have a middle piece that will be used to connect both controllers together. You have a USB Type-C cable, which can be used to charge the controller and update it. And here's the manual. It is pretty big again. And now let's check the controllers. They are definitely big, and the buttons are responsive. When connected to the middle piece, it feels like a huge controller, even bigger than the Dreamcast controller. Here's the back buttons, macro and turbo. And compared to the original Joy-Con grip, which feels a little bit cramped, this one is perfect for players with big hands. You can even see from the distance that it is much thicker than the original. And you can also use the middle piece with the original Joy-Cons. This way, the gameplay will feel exactly like the Switch in the handheld mode. The Joy-Cons can be used separately too, although it's not really comfortable to use, but it works. And you can use it sideways in 2-player mode too. The best thing is that you'll have a back button even when using it sideways. The button is very wide and it's easy to access it with both hands. The controller has small feet, which can be used to place it standing on a table like this. And even though it wobbles a little bit, they will keep your Switch standing with no problem. This was a nice solution they found, because you can't use the kickstand with the Joy-Cons plugged in. They are also able to wake up your Switch. And you can dock your Switch with these Joy-Cons on, although it fits a little bit too tight in the dock, so you have to insert it carefully to avoid scratches on your dock. And on each of the analog sticks, you have many different colors to choose from, which is a nice visual touch. To make things easy to understand, these symbols will represent each one of these buttons. So whenever I press them, you will see the respective symbol on screen. To activate turbo function, hold down the T button and press the desired button you need. To make the turbo speed faster, hold down the T button and press plus or minus depending on the Joy-Con you're holding. You'll have 3 different speeds to choose from. And to keep the turbo permanently on, Repeat the turbo combination. Repeat the combination once again to stop the turbo. And you can activate turbo for different buttons at once. To register the back button, hold down the M key and press the button you want. When you press the back button again, it will activate as the registered button. To remove the registered button, just hold down the M key. The LED will blink for a few seconds and the button will be removed. Keep in mind that the left back button can only be registered with inputs from the left controller, and vice versa. You can adjust the rumble intensity here too. By holding the T button and moving the analog sticks up and down, you can adjust the strength. And by holding the T button and pressing on the analog sticks, you can cycle through the different colors. If you double tap the stick, it will change to the breathing mode. Double tap again to activate the rainbow color. And double tap again to turn off the LED. The motion controls also works very well here, and I did some testing with the back buttons. They are really helpful in shooting games, where you can move around and do different actions without releasing the analog sticks.
Group up!
And here's an issue I found. Here I disabled the motion controls. And as you can see, there's no motion controls involved. And you'll see here that I'm wiggling the stick, but the aim is not changing on screen. This is a common issue on third-party controllers, where the analog stick snaps to the X and Y axis. And this is not cool because this removes precision from the player. And as you can see here, I'm having a little bit of trouble when trying to do headshots with just the stick. And just for comparison, here's the original Pro controller. You can see that the stick moves freely without snapping to the axis. And this is much better when doing small movements. Another thing that I've found is that the D-pad is really hard in the diagonals. For example, here I'm moving down, but I can rock my finger back and forth and the diagonals aren't registered. And this won't happen in any direction. And on the Pro controller, the diagonals are easily pressed. I can activate the diagonals just by rocking my finger in the down arrow. Some players might find this better for platforming games, for example, but in my opinion, this just ruins the experience for top-down shooters or fighting games. And let's see how they look inside. Again, let me show you the pictures for a more detailed look. Here you have the main PCB, which is okay, is not cheaply made, but not extravagant either. And here's the good news. The analog sticks in this controller are similar to the Pro controller or any other regular controller, which means they probably won't have drift like the original Joycons. Here you can see the location of the antenna for the signal, which is in a good location on the top of the controller. And the rubber membranes are just okay too, not too thick and not too thin, so the buttons are not hard to press or extremely soft either. The analog stick is on a separate board, which is good. If you want to replace it, you just need to detach this board and replace the stick. The buttons on the rails are more resistant than the original Joy-Cons too. Here's a look on the rumble motors. They are not HD rumble, but they work just fine. Here's the plastic piece for the back buttons, and here are the batteries with a 500 mAh of capacity. And I think that the problems with the diagonals on the D-pad is because of this. The contact pads on the D-pad for this controller are much smaller than the original Pro controller. However, there's one thing I noted here. When Spawnwave did a teardown for this controller, he mentioned that the D-pad had stickers on each direction, and I didn't find those stickers on my controller. I wonder if they have something to do with the diagonals being so hard on my end. Overall, the Nyxi Joy-Cons are pretty good. I'm using them as my main Joy-Cons, especially because the analog sticks are more resistant and less likely to start drifting. And having back buttons in the handheld mode is a plus. I just wish they fixed the issue with the analog sticks snapping to the axis, which is really annoying when playing first-person shooters. Thanks for watching this review. If you want to grab one of these controllers for you, there are links in the description. If you aren't subscribed to my channel yet, hit the subscribe button and share this video with a friend. See you next time!